gentlemen, may I have your attention please as we go through the following safety instructions.
Up and down and up and down and fast and slow, and we're getting momentum. And then today they come out and say that Johnson & Johnson is stopped because of more than a 1 in a million problem. And then the state of Florida is suing to get cruising restarting. And then every time it seems like we're off to the races and things are going to be great, we take a step back. And there's a lot of change going on. And what we know is that people are bursting at the seams to go on a trip. And today's travel think tank is going to try and throw our arms around all of that uncertainty and all of the opportunity with our discussion, which will be interactive, the good, the bad, and the opportunity in the travel industry right now. On today's show, well, you are the rock star. We sometimes have a bigwig from the travel industry on here to grill them for answers. But if you're on the call today, you are the star of the show. So we want this to be an interactive conversation and a roundtable. So we encourage you to jump into the chat, let us know that you have something to say so we can include you in the discussion, because today's travel think tank is all about you. This is our weekly roundtable discussion here on Travel Agent TV. I'm Pat Miller, the host and the host of The Hub. This is where the travel industry is together under one roof. If you're checking us out on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe. And if you're not a member of our Facebook group, well, come on, we'd love to have you. Facebook.com/groups/travel ATV. So we've talked about how today is going to be 100% interactive, and we can't get to 100% if we don't welcome my co-founder and partner, Tom Brousseau. Hello, my friend. How are you today?
I am doing well. Sorry about the delay there. No, I'm doing great. And I'm so glad that we're all together today just to kind of talk about, where do things stand, and, how are things going with the recovery. And this kind of dawned on me last night. Each week we try to have a great conversation, kind of keep it new, keep it fresh. And as Pat said, we generally have, or we've had, some industry executives, and sometimes it's just us. And what I found, and I think you guys might agree, is that sometimes when it's just us, those are some of the best conversations. Now, Michael from Royal Caribbean is here, and suppliers are always welcome for sure. But what dawned on me last night as I was at my desk processing some payments at 8 p.m., chit-chatting on Facebook with a couple other travel agents who at 8 o'clock last night were also at their desks, was that, there's a lot happening. And as you mentioned in the intro, there's some good things, a lot of good things, there's some bad things, and there's lots of opportunities. So I was hoping to kind of tap into that today with all of you to say, hey, what are you experiencing? What's happening on all those fronts? And what can we learn from each other, knowing that, hey, it's mission critical right now, right? We got to execute. We have to make the most of the opportunities. And also sometimes on the think tank, it's just nice to hear from other people and know that they're experiencing some of the same things that you are. It's maybe not commiseration, but it's, at least an understanding that we have shared challenges and opportunities. So thanks to all of you for being here today. And I think we have some really great topics. And if you would all chime in, I'll be taking some notes, and hopefully we can come out of this with, a great feeling about where we're all going and how to get there.
For today to work, we want your interaction and your engagement with us. So we're going to ask for you to pop on the microphone and share your thoughts and opinions. And Tom, we'll just start the conversation with you from your seat as a practicing agent. What is the state of affairs for you, your agency? What are you hearing from your clients? Just what's the state of your union right now?
Sure. Okay. So I say the state of the union is optimistic and definitely trending in the right direction. If I counted all the bookings that we've made in the last 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, it's more than all the bookings that we made in the last 3 months. And so, or maybe even 6 months for that matter. So, definitely trending up, with, both individual traveler bookings. I think the general consumer sentiment is improving to the point where the confidence level is growing. That means that, more and more people like me and Joan are vaccinated and or have immunity or just have a better feeling about, about booking a trip. And, we can see that, and hopefully you guys, as you touch base, well, as well, we're seeing that in the bookings. So travel demand and inquiries are up. So on the good side, I think that's, a very, very much of a positive. All of those canceled weddings from last year, it's amazing that people rescheduled weddings from what would have been a 2020 wedding is now a 2022 wedding. All the same bride and groom, same people, just having a destination wedding 2 years later. It shows their, really just their desire to have that experience. So I think that's a huge positive as well.
That's a long time to wait. That's a long time to be engaged just to say I do on a beach, man. That's there's no way my fiance, now my wife, would have waited that long just to do that. But if that's happening, that's fantastic. Let's bring some other voices in because we want to make sure that we're hearing from other people on the call. And that's what's unique about this experience is that we're on Zoom, so it feels like we're all sitting next to one another, but we are all over the country and sometimes outside of the country. So Debbie, let's get your thoughts on this. What's going on right now with you? What are you hearing from customers and partners? And what's the state of your union?
A real mixed bag, and it is a roller coaster ride. My business partner and I split up the world. So she does all of our European bookings and I get the tropics. So I'm really busy and she's not.
Hmm.
So I have clients traveling this weekend, one to Mexico, one to Costa Rica. And, I'm starting to get on pins and needles, like what's going to happen? How's it going to go? So I'm glad to be busy. And I kind of wish I wasn't busy. It's challenging.
Yeah. And having that unique split of the workload between partners, one with Europe, is there anything going on with Europe right now? Is it just inquiries or like no traffic whatsoever from your clients?
She's getting a few that are looking to book later in the fall or next year. But I think at least in our experience, people see that Hawaii and Mexico are open, so they're willing to book that. And they're just not really willing to jump on the European bandwagon just yet.
Yeah. How about the tropics? How is your lead time right now? Are people booking and going immediately or are they planning further out still?
I'd say 1 to 4 months
Okay. And how does that compare to usual?
sooner.
Sooner. So they're getting,
Yeah, I think I really saw it change about a month ago when people started getting vaccines. We're in Denver. As soon as they started getting them, my phone started ringing, emails, like it quadrupled overnight.
yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thanks for jumping in early on the
Yeah.
conversation. We'll definitely come back to you. I appreciate it. Tom, what are you seeing as far as inquiries, lead times, and some of the comments that Debbie was sharing?
Yeah, same thing. A big uptick. We had a lot of people travel over spring break, and I just want to comment on sort of the bad side, not a bad side, but one of the challenges that we're facing, and maybe you guys are feeling the same way. Is that traveling and is a lot more complicated. The margin for error for the perfect vacation is a lot smaller. There's a lot more moving parts. There's a lot more requirements. There's a lot of more things that have to happen. And so I think like Debbie, it stresses me out. I lay in bed like thinking about, did I cover every base that I had to cover for these people so that everything goes smoothly for their trip. And, so being a travel agent, it's much tougher. It's much harder than it used to be. And it requires a lot more attention to detail. It did before, it's an attention to detail job, and then, there's just a lot more moving parts. So as agents, we have to be on top of our game in every single situation, because if we don't, the client's not going to have a good experience. And that comes back to us, as their agent, and affects our reputation or affects, our referrals and so forth down the road.
So let's check in with a few other agents before we move on. We have some industry folks in the room, which is really great to see. So we want to get their opinion on this as well, some of the suppliers. But let's go to Jennifer Evans. Jennifer, it's great to see you. So, what is happening with you right now? And what is the state of your business dealings, your clients? Just where's everything at this moment?
I'm actually hiring on right now.
Wow.
We're so busy.
Okay. So, put that into words. What do you mean? Describe that for us.
So both offices are, I mean, I'm not even catching up on our accounting stuff because we're booking so quickly. So it's like people are, they're taking a little bit more time. They have a lot more questions, but they're actually closing, which we hadn't seen. We had seen a lot of people like asking and inquiring, but not necessarily closing for a little while there. But now it's just like one after the other. I think people are just ready to travel. The vaccination has kind of had a couple people on pause a little bit, just asking the question about it, whether it's going to be required or not. But other than that, people are just like, I've just been getting them left and right now that I've actually had to hire somebody, like they're starting on Monday. And I'm looking at somebody at the other office too. So that's kind of the state of the union.
Yeah.
I'm a little exhausted.
It's a good exhausted. We waited a year of rest to get this exhausted. Are you seeing that your line, is there a direct line to draw between the percent vaccinated or the emotion around vaccination in your area with your phones ringing? Like Tom was mentioning, as people started to get vaccinated, he started getting phone calls. Are those two relatively in alignment?
I don't know in our area because we're kind of split around here. On that, I think that it started picking up before even the vaccinations really were picking up. So I think some, yes, I think others, no. And I would say a pretty big percentage is not, it had nothing to do with the vaccinations. It was just ready to travel.
Okay, that's great. Another question while we're here, if you don't mind, how are they comparing to bookings pre-pandemic? Are they spending more, spending less, booking earlier, later, spending more?
I think they're I think they're a little bit more willing to. It's like it's not the budgets that I'm getting are not. There's some obviously that are tight, but there are quite a few that are just not as tight as they were. They want to go somewhere good.
That's excellent. Well, congrats. That's great to hear. It's been a long time coming, and it's great to hear. We've got more questions. Thanks for jumping in. We appreciate it, Jennifer. Let's go to Ruby. Ruby, what's going on in your world? Good, the bad, the opportunity? Just what's the state of your clients right now, and how are things going?
Well, I definitely need sleep. So 4 hours last night. It's been total lunacy. And I'm trying to get my office managers to come back, but they're making too much money on unemployment. So that's going to be a problem. I do have Rosemary back full time. She's in the other room. You'll probably hear her cursing a little bit, but I don't so, but I had 2 part-timers and then a fill-in, and my 2 part-timers, one got a full-time real estate job, so she's not coming back. And the other one is looking for a full-time job with benefits now, so I don't do that. My fill-in is going to fill in for me, but I definitely need someone in the office because we just can't get it done. We're working every day. It's been crazy, and I'm not going to complain. I promised I would not complain once we get busy, so I'm going to take it. I just don't want to go back to pre-COVID. I promised myself a life after COVID, so if I can get some help in the office, I might get my life back.
No, I hear you on that. And I want to go back around and change the topic slightly. And Ruby, I'll stay with you if that's okay. What are people asking for? Debbie talked about the tropics. Tom talked about honeymoons. Is there anything that people are asking for that's turning into a trend or anything that you'd like to share?
No, I'm starting to get my destination weddings back for 2022. A lot of groups for 2022. So I see money then. But right now it's last minute bookings. People are spending. A lot of people are going to Aruba. Like I never sold this much Aruba before, but of course, Mexico, Dominican, Antigua, the usual Caribbean and Mexico right now.
Now, what kind of groups are these? Extended family groups? Are these friend groups? Are these girlfriend trips? What kind of groups are being traveled right now?
Well, I've always done destination weddings, but I just got the Northern New Jersey Rotary. So that's a lot of people. So
Yeah.
that's maybe a couple thousand, but so that will pick up. That will be 2022. I'm going to be their only travel agent. I think the agent they use retired. So that will keep me really busy in 2022. But hopefully by then I'll have enough office help.
No, that's great. And you know what? A great perspective, because nobody wants to complain. It was such a hard year, but man,
I'll
we all
take
get
it down.
tired. So we're cheering for you, Ruby. And
Thank you.
hopefully we'll limit the cursing just a little bit. Although sometimes a good F-bomb really lets out
No,
a
it
lot of
feels good
stress. I'm just saying.
sometimes. You just
Yes,
gotta
it
do
does. Absolutely, it does. Tom, let's go back to you. How about these group trips and the types of people that are leaving as a group? Are those kinds of groups changing, or the same kind of groups that always traveled, or just finally getting on a plane?
Yeah, I think it's the same types of groups that we've had traveling, the destination weddings, the multi-generational families, I think are gonna come back. Maybe some of those that maybe aren't quite ready yet, because it can involve, older grandparents or smaller kids and things like that. I think that one of the things that we've always done a lot of is like friends and neighbors, couples travel, like 7, 8, 9 couples travel together. And I think we're going to see, I know those people are waiting in the wings and they're ready, because those people all want to get together. They all want to party together. And so I expect that that's going to, I probably have about 6 or 7 groups like that usually go every year or every 2 years. And I expect that I'll be hearing from them soon.
Yeah, that sounds great. Whenever I hear group travel, I just see Randy. I just see Randy there with the guitar and the swim up bar. Like
Yeah,
I want to go on that group trip. That just
exactly.
sounds like fun. Let's change the topic a little bit. Nolan, you're always a great source of information with Lamakia and Jetstream. Let's talk about travel credits. What's going on with travel credits, and what has that been like to work through right now?
I would say if it's done right in the first place, it's pretty easy. It's like a gift card, not a whole lot of issues. But when there are issues, boy, does it take a long time to get those straightened out. And then like, just because, it's like a gift card. So to a client, they know their stuff, right? So if you like misspeak, you're off by $60. It becomes like well, last time you said it, it's like, right. So it's just like knowing that you are saying the exact same thing every time, I think is just super, super important.
Can I just jump in real quick? Because I want to go back to something Tom Brusso said earlier that ties directly into this about how much more difficult it is to process and book reservations in the current condition and time frame. Basically what Nolan's referencing about using future travel credits and the inconsistency in the answers. What we're seeing too that's laying over all of this is a consumer that's willing to blast you on Facebook or, take your ratings down, or just, some are, most are understanding, but the ones that are not are ready to say you're screwing them over, you're ripping them off, you're taking advantage of them, or you're trying to get rich on them. So, there's a whole nother level that we have to, this last 18 months, if everybody else was an expert to begin with, the last 18 months, the consumer's gotten a lot less patient, a lot less understanding, and a lot quicker to shoot and then ask questions. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where, I don't know, taking lots of notes will help. But another thing is like, this isn't going to end here, because now you have companies that are more willing to give a travel credit out than refunds. So with that, like, we're going to have travel credits for the rest of this industry's life, like United, American, Delta, they're saying forever exchange fees are gone for blah, blah, blah tickets. So that just means that like, we're going to be dealing with travel credits for a very, very long time. And just the sooner we fix these little micro issues, the easier it'll be. And then it will be like a gift card. But yeah, I would just say they're a little difficult to figure out if they aren't done right in the first place or weren't issued correctly by the supplier.
So let's go back here for a second, Tom. Now that you're observing this supercharged, impatient customer, you're very thoughtful in the way that you run your business. How are you addressing that? Are you doing anything differently, knowing the environment that we're in?
Yeah, like really detailed.
That was for
templated
Tom Brousseau. That was for
Oh,
Tom
sorry.
Carnes. other
sorry.
Tom.
Go ahead. I'm sorry,
It-
Tom.
when you have
Come
two
on.
Toms talking travel, they both want to talk at the same time.
Exactly.
It's Big Daddy. From now
That's
on,
right.
say, Big
All right.
Daddy, what do you got? to
Go
say?
ahead, Tom Carnes, and then I'll chime in.
Shit, I don't even know what the question is anymore.
How are you handling those issues?
You know what? It's a training. It's a training process. And I'll tell you what, like Jen's out hiring people. Good for her. We have called back almost our entire staff. So they're back. But I will tell you, it has been a retraining process for everybody that has been out of the industry for a while or has been slow. We've had to retrain pretty much everybody to be more conscious, to be more customer service focused. And I thought we were always very well customer service focused, but also a little bit more hand holding. And again, with, the negative COVID testing requirements, the masks and all the different protocol that's now in place, we're automatically, more informed and we're letting our clients know, but we're just, we're babysitting more reservations all the way through than we've ever had to before.
I had a little situation with I would say like a pretty well-off family that has not been vaccinated. And I just recommended them because they have to get tested to come home, right? I just told them like, hey, you should go get tested before your trip just to ensure, it would really come across bad, right? If you go there and you didn't do your due diligence to get tested and then you find out you're positive and have to stay there when you could have just simply gotten tested to have some peace of mind. And the guy kind of like laid it into me like, well, don't you know that those tests are inaccurate and this government, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, a recommendation. This is nothing else. Like, I'm just saying I'd recommend that you get tested. And he's like, well, I don't know why someone would recommend getting tested if blah, 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 these are inaccurate. And like, and it's just like, all right, dude, do you want to go on this trip or not? Like, this is up to you. I don't care. Like, I really don't. I'm like, this is a recommendation. I'm like, but if you want to get stuck in Mexico, by all means, have a great trip. Like, what do you mean?
Have a nice trip. Tom Brousseau, I'm going to come to you because it reminds me a little bit of the customer mindset shift that car purchasers went through. Now that our clients are reading terms and conditions and they're doing their own research and they're understanding what all the fine print means, to Nolan's point, they're a more educated consumer now. And that changes, to Tom Carnes' point, that kind of changes the way we have to deal with them. Are you seeing that too?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I was going to say before I interrupted Tom Carnes is that we have to be really detailed about our communication, right? So we use templated verbiage for every step along the way with our clients. So the initial quote, the processing of the deposit, the confirmation of the insurance inclusions. So that every I is dotted and T is crossed up from our side, so that number one, we communicated to Nolan's point that we were clear in the communication and we're covered, and that the client understands it. We did that before as well, but now there's just a lot more to be concerned about and a lot more that can go wrong. And I think Nolan's right that, the travel credits is like its own completely separate issue, right? More people are buying the insurance with travel credits than ever before. I almost never sold travel credit insurance before. Travel credits back. I sold 99% cash back, and now it's about 70% to 80% are buying credits back. And so the credits themselves, the impending expiration of the credits, all the clients that are sitting out there holding credits currently that need to get booked. There's a whole whole file. We've all developed our own individual travel credits files. Because we have to manage that. We can't let the credits expire, because we forgot or the client forgot. That's the worst case scenario.
So let's go to Molly Friend. So Molly, what are you seeing as far as the customer sentiment and mindset as you're doing business with them? What the Toms have said, does that ring true to you?
For sure. So the clients are asking more questions about fine print, and I am spitting off insurance like crazy because I don't want them to book anything unless it has insurance, which I've always been a big advocate of it. But basically, I'm pretty much telling them, if you don't get insurance, you are basically going to lose all your money. I mean, I'm like, very adamant about them having insurance, travel credit insurance or cash insurance, but definitely the travel credit, because it's basically half the price. People are that's fine. As long as I have something so I don't lose all my money.
Yeah.
And people are really paying attention to, am I going to lose my money if something happens, and then, really wanting to know information further ahead, even though we don't have information further ahead when it comes to all the CDC and whether you're going to have a test or not and all that kind of stuff. So staying up to date and being able to say, as of today, this is what it is, but it can change tomorrow, and that's one thing we've always had in our business, is that things can change minute to minute, but today it is truer than ever. And like I put in the comments, my invoice now has almost a full page of quote fine print on it, that it used to not have. So, the old adage to cover your butt, we really got to do it. So, but I'm with everybody else. Busy people are calling, they're wanting to go, they want to get out of town, they are ready.
We've done this show every week during the pandemic. We started back in July, right? So July until now, we've been doing this show weekly. And during one of those shows, the phrase of selling during a hurricane came up, that it's kind of like we're selling during a hurricane warning right now, that like, hey, you never know, something might happen and everything can go down the tubes. There's a lot of uncertainty there. Molly, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Brian, I want to bring you on if you have a moment. You asked a provocative question in the chat, and I'd love for you to reiterate it so everyone that's watching this on replay has the chance to share it, because I thought it was good. Our workload has gone up, and you're asking a question about fees. Can you share it?
Yeah, we took a look at this probably 6 weeks ago, and kind of looked at the environment, how much work we were putting into each and every reservation, each and every refund and cancellation, and also really working with a reduced staff at that time. Most of our team is back right now, not everybody, and we thought, hey, our value to our clients is much greater than it was 9 months ago, 10 months ago, whatever. And we made a decision at that point to raise our fees. So we have not had one pushback from any customer since.
Yeah. Did you do it with like an extra line charge, like a navigation fee, or did you just raise everything a certain percentage?
No,
How did you do it?
We just raised it a dollar amount above where we were. And normally, in a past life, we do mystery calls and things like that. We didn't even take that step this time. We just felt pretty confident in our value and the marketplace today.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If you're working harder, you got to get paid for sure. I want to stay with you for.
And we also needed revenue. That was another driving force. We needed some money in the bank.
Yeah, we like revenue. We forgot what revenue looked like, but it's great that it's back with us. It's a very friendly friend, for sure. Brian, I want to stay with you just for a second. And Michael, cover your ears here. But how are suppliers doing on service right now? Answering questions. Where are you as far as getting the answers you need for your clients? Are you satisfied? If you don't mind my asking, if you don't want to answer, I totally understand. Okay, Tom, let's go. Michael, I was addressing that question to Brian, but I just want to ask from your standpoint, while you're here, thanks for popping on, what has the question load been like, and how are you addressing all of those questions as quickly as they come in?
Well, overall, throughout this whole pandemic, it's been us doing a lot of what you guys are doing with what the agents are doing with their clients. I mean, we're constantly talking to them and navigating through issues and problems and stuff like that. And my job as being one of the sales directors or sales managers for Royal Caribbean is to be working with the agents. So I am, in fact, doing very similar work just with the agencies. And I've been pretty busy throughout the pandemic, but me personally, I try to always keep in contact with the agents. If there's ever an issue, I will call them right away. I will stay in communication with them. We will escalate, and I will do what we can at any particular time and fight for what is right, basically. But I think that everything in a whole came into play, and it was pretty well orchestrated. I think we've overall done a great job
Yeah.
where we are today. But
Well,
we were definitely not ready for anything like this.
no, and nobody was, to be fair. And I appreciate you coming on. And
Yeah.
your microphone's a little bit soft, so we have to move on. Unfortunately, I think you might be having a mic problem. But I appreciate your feedback on that. Jennifer Waldron, I'm curious if something's wrong, you'll share it with us with a smile. Maybe everything's right. What's going on with suppliers right now? Are you getting the answers you need for your clients?
Yeah, we've been, I mean, I'm sure I can speak for a lot of us on the call and as a whole in the industry. Hold times are long, but I've been very pleased across the board with suppliers. Whenever I need something, I do. I have found that with starting the new agency, I am pushing some of our business to other suppliers and other tour operators, and not for the fact that I'm not getting what I need from certain suppliers, just that they have certain hoteliers that other ones don't. But I think that everybody is trying to row in the same direction, and we're all just trying to do what we can to survive. So no, I feel like that everybody's doing okay. But it's just the survival mode. But we're busy, just trying to stay busy, and especially, I mean, starting a new agency in the middle or at the end of a pandemic can be very difficult.
Yeah.
But we're doing amazing. So yeah.
So I'm curious from your unique standpoint. You went into the pandemic as an agent. You're now running your own thing. How has life changed for you? Not only because the entire travel industry decided to light itself on fire, but now you have your own industry, your own agency. How has your life changed? Because I'm curious about that.
It's so much more freedom. That I can just put it, one word: freedom.
Mhm.
I have not only that, I guess I can say it in a the leadership that comes along with starting your own business has been amazing as well. There's people out there that have contacted me and embraced me with being an owner, like no other, that I haven't been embraced like before. So that's been pretty incredible. So it's been a very bumpy 3 months, but it's been profitable and amazing. And we've been doing trainings with all sorts of suppliers and cruise lines and hoteliers, and our ICs are excited and they're ambitious and they're hustling, and it's just learning right now for them. I mean, I've been in it for going on 18 years, but a lot of them are a little, they're newbies. So
Yeah.
just getting them on the road.
We're cheering for you. It's quite a journey you've decided
I
to.
really appreciate that. Thank you.
It's really great. One more question. We're going to change the topic. And I think Ruby brought it up. What's the deal with Aruba? All of a sudden, everyone's interested in Aruba. What's hot right now? What are people asking for? She mentioned Aruba. Is there anything else that people are asking for that you're like, oh, okay, we could talk about that?
When Ruby said that, I actually made a face. Yes, I've had probably about a half dozen to a dozen people have asked me about Aruba, and I'm like, go to Hawaii or Costa Rica. I mean, there's just so many other. It's just the, and no offense to the airlines, but I'm supposed to be in St. Lucia in a month, and American Airlines forced me 2 overnights going and coming back. So I can't go because of the airline. So now I'm going to Jamaica instead. And I really wanted to do St. Lucia, but Aruba's not a bad place. I'm not saying Aruba's not bad, Michael.
Sure.
But the places that we've been seeing, a lot of people are wanting different than Mexico. We have had a lot of requests for Hawaii. We've had a lot of requests for Costa Rica. Florida, the panhandle of Florida has been real popular. We've actually had a lot of places that are like the Rocky Mountains here in the U.S. So it's been a very diverse places here,
Yeah.
all over. But like all inclusive wise, I would say Mexico has not been the number one. We push Mexico because we love Mexico, but when people send us requests, it's always something completely different and off the board. So, which I love. But
That's
I just
great.
can't wait till Europe opens back up so that we can start selling the river cruises and stuff like that.
And I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you, Jennifer. So, Tom, I'm going to come back to you. So, are we thinking that these alternative locations are popping up with popularity because people can't go to Europe right now? Is that what's driving all of this discovery outside of Mexico?
Yeah, I think there's that, and I think people, because they haven't traveled for so long, they're looking for maybe a different experience. They've been to Cancun, or they've been to Punta Cana, or whatever it might be. So they're looking at alternative destinations that as they sat around thinking about it for the last year, and dreamt about where they would go in their mind. They thought about Aruba, or they thought about St. Lucia, and a lot of times people don't even know why they want to go there. They just think they want to go there. Same with Costa Rica. It's some place that people imagine is going to fit what their vacation dreams are. So same thing for me. I've gotten a bunch of Aruba requests. I just booked a St. Lucia honeymoon this morning, and there's a lot of interest in in those Caribbean islands, and also people are willing to spend a little bit more. Where before they might be going to Cancun for $3,500, now they're willing to go to St. Lucia for $5,500 because they have the money and the savings, and they want to have that experience.
Got it. So I'm going to go to Joan. She put something really clever in the chat. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Joan, you said that you've had requests for Hawaii, which, okay, fine, Hawaii, but requests for Dubai. Is that,
Yes.
that seems out of left field. Is that unusual?
No, Dubai seemed to just come. I've had like 4 requests for Dubai. 2 of them are later, but surprisingly, people want to go in August. So that's yeah, that's kind of strange for me. And Hawaii is picked up for honeymoons for me.
Okay. Are there other places besides those 2 that people are asking for a lot with you right now?
People are still asking for Italy, and I keep having to deflect them and say, no, it's not open yet. And so people are looking at Greece, which we're hoping will open, I think it's on the 15th or something next month. So I'm praying that will be open, because I have 3 requests for that.
Oh, come on, let's open. We got some bookings to do. Let's go. As we get ready to wrap up the call here, I'm going to throw out a question, and Joan, you're on the spot. You're on the hot seat. I'm going to ask you first. All right. So as we wrap up the call today, I really want to go around to anyone that's willing to contribute. Let's look forward the next 6 months. Are the next 6 months a rocket ship? Are the next 6 months going to be okay? Or are the next 6 months going to be disappointing to what we hope for? So if you had to guess the next 6 months, what do you think, Joan?
I think for me, it's going to be a rocket ship. 2 factors. I'm moving my office to a spot next to Starbucks, which I think is going to give me a little bit more foot traffic.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. And because of the requests that have been coming in, I think people want to go. And as long as people are vaccinated, I think they will go. So I'm looking forward to a rocket ship.
Boy, I'm looking forward to moving in next door to Starbucks. That's like awesome. I'd have great coffee all day. Thank you, Joan. I appreciate it. How about you, Molly? Rocket ship, what we expect or not so good? What do you think?
Oh, I'm thinking rocket ship with a small plateau in maybe August or September, and then rocket ship. I just think people are finally just ready to go. They want to use their credits. They want to go to Europe. They want to go to all these cool places they have spent 12 months looking at on social media and on the Travel Channel and all these places. I just feel like the rocket ship's going to happen. I do feel like there may be a little plateau, but I think it's just going to keep right on going.
All right, that's good. We got 2 rocket ships. I'm getting excited. Jennifer Waldron, what do you think? Rocket ship, what we expect or not so good? What do you think?
I think there is definitely going to be a rocket ship. However, in the last 2 weeks, I have struggled with finding air. into a lot of destinations, and it has been a struggle. So I don't know if that is going to continue in the upcoming months. I hope that the rocket ship continues. I think once cruise lines are able to cruise, that's going to continue. That's going to keep pushing the rocket forward. I do agree with Molly. I do think we will hit a plateau. I think that once 2022 comes around, that rocket ship will continue. But I do feel like that we are, with everybody moving their travel from 2020 to 2021, now the space is being filled. So we are going to hit that plateau, just for the simple fact that the availability in the space is being filled. Or people are seeing, oh, there were all these great deals, and now whenever they go into book, the prices have went way up. So, you know, I've priced out something last week for somebody that was $3,200, and I priced it out for it today, and it was $47. Like, that's unreal, unheard of in our industry. Yes, it happens, but like I told her, it's just because the hotels are selling out, the airfares booking up, explaining classes of service to people is a headache. But I think we'll see a rocket ship, we'll hit a plateau, and then we'll continue. I just want the cruises to come back. So.
Yeah, well, and you're making a good point. If you can't have a rocket ship, if there's no ship to get on, if you can't get on an airplane, it's really tough to go to Greece, for example. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that. Brian Hurley, what do you think? Rocket ship, what we expect, or not so good?
Oh, an incredible rocket ship is actually it's starting right now. We're not quite back to normal, but 2 weeks ago we launched a group that sold out 50 passengers within 24 hours. We added another 8 people on wait list. I have another group that I'm going to launch here in about 2 weeks. And I have more inventory right now for 2022 than I've ever had at my last company, which is a very large company and moved a lot of passengers. So I'm feeling really, really good about the future. As Jennifer said, having cruising come back, I think it's just a matter of time before Europe opens up. I understand they now can eat at sidewalk cafes in London, so good things are ahead. I just feel really positive all the way through 2022.
Now, you bring up a good point, and Jennifer touched on it as well. When will the increase in price cool things off? Do you think we'll just push right through increases in price because people want to travel as things fill up?
That's a really good question. I mean, there's a breaking point for everybody, but here's the other thing: is this economy is just starting to take off, and we're going to see growth in this country that we haven't seen in many years. So all of those trillions of dollars that are moving into the economy, we're all going to benefit from that. So I'm just really positive about the future.
I appreciate that, Brian. And something I'm thinking, just my job in my real life is to be the idea coach and help small businesses. I wonder if now is the time to start creating a separate class of service, a luxury line, a platinum level of whatever you do, to treat those high-end customers with a white glove service and really give them the type of FaceTime, personal meetings, pre-printed, high-end, personal touch, private jet kind of feel. Because to Brian's point, I think the money's going to be there. It's just a question of, can you present yourself as someone that's worthy of taking it? And I think that's all in packaging and how you talk to them, and really subdividing your list one more time to take those top 10 or 20 clients that you have and really ring the bell with them, because they're going to get on a plane and they're going to go someplace. So it's just an aside for me. I've got a little other things to contribute to the conversation, but that's one thing that I was thinking about. Ruby, how about you? Are we on a rocket ship? Is it what you expect, or is it going to be not so good? What do you think?
I think it's a rocket ship. We're very busy just the last month. I'm not saying it's back to normal either, but what I'm seeing now is everybody's done. Even vaccine, no vaccine, they want to go. I did hire a few more ICs because their companies went out of business, or some were laid off. So one happened to be my BDM for ALG, who works for me now. So I have some really good ICs. So I see that my money will be picking up.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Hang in there. Thanks for your sharing today. And thank you everyone for sharing. I mean, this is exactly the kind of conversation that Tom and I were hoping for of what's going on, what are we concerned about, where is this all going? And it's this kind of conversation that really helps us out. Let's get one more opinion in here. Jennifer Walker, are you available? Do you mind coming on? Are we on a rocket ship? Are things so-so or not what we expect?
Well, kudos to all of you that are on your rocket ship path, but I'm not seeing it yet.
Okay. Tell us what
Very
you're seeing.
slow.
We're curious about. First of all, where are you, Jennifer? I'm sorry, I don't remember.
I'm in the middle of a cornfield in Illinois.
Okay.
A lot of inquiries for domestic travel, but I pivoted away from that 2 years ago and swore I was not going to go back. So I'm not the person for the cheap little trips to Florida anymore. So I'm struggling that way, that people are still contacting me for advice on those types of trips. I had clients that were supposed to travel this week that got positive test results back, surprisingly, and had to move them around. So I don't have the bookings that I would have expected to have at this point. So I'm the Debbie Downer of the group today. Sorry.
No, I think I think that's really good that you piped in, because we wanted to hear that. It's not, we all think it's going to be great, so it's going to be great. If it's not great for everybody, it's interesting to hear why. Is there anything that's happening that might offer you hope? Are you seeing like, oh, it might be better in a few months? Or are you thinking that I'm assuming central Illinois? See, I grew up in Peoria and went to Illinois State, so I'm very familiar with cornfields in,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I'm
so-
in Washington, across the river. So
Heck yeah. Okay. So Dunlap,
Yeah.
Illinois. Okay, fine. We just
Yeah.
caught up. That was fun. But is there anything in your business that you're looking like, okay, well, when this starts to happen, or if Caterpillar continues to take off, we might be in a good spot?
not really. It's just a matter of people being comfortable going. I'm tired of people saying, well, I'll travel when I don't have to wear a face mask, and I just want to slap them with a face mask. So it's just little things like that. It's just, it'll come around. It's just not coming around as fast as I had hoped. And I've been doing a lot of changes to marketing and stuff. So it's churning, but it's not there yet.
Well, we hope it turns in your favor here soon. Thank you for weighing in, Jennifer. We appreciate it. And thanks for being a part of the discussion. All right. So Tom, let's come back to you for final thoughts. So rocket ship, what we expect or not so good. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think rocket ship. I mean, I think, just all the, 11 years of, for us, 11 years of clients, that are all just out there, waiting to book or, looking for the right opportunity. My biggest struggle and the opportunity is, how do I wrap my arms around them? How do I communicate to them, get a sense of what are they green, are they green, amber, or red? And where do they want to go? And how do I manage all that, with the resources that we have? So that's very exciting. And in the meantime, it's a little bit of drinking out of a fire hose, at least currently. That's not to say 2 weeks from now that might not change. But it's a welcome, it's a welcome challenge, given, what we've all been through, and, to be able to see some, as you talked about earlier, to be able to see some revenue in the pipeline is really a nice feeling that, we haven't had for quite some time. So I'm on the side of the rocket ship.
Well, it's great to hear. And it's a tough situation to be in. And again, just as the business guy, I would say, be careful with your self-care. Be careful with what you need to do to stay sane and profitable and happy, because going 12 months without eating doesn't mean that as soon as the buffet opens, you get yourself sick. So do what you can to protect you and your family and make sure that you're running a business that you want to run. And as you take care of your business, it sounds like the things are coming back and you'll be able to take it where you want to go. This is exactly the kind of discussion we wanted to have today. Thank you so much for weighing in and being part of what we were trying to get to, which is what's the good, what's the bad, and what's the opportunity. And this type of collaboration over a Zoom meeting, that's why Travel Agent TV is here. And thank you to Michael for joining in. I'm sorry that the microphone didn't quite work for you, Michael, but we appreciate your contributions today as well. If you enjoy conversations like this, subscribe to our YouTube channel, simply called Travel Agent TV, or you can become a part of our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/TravelATV. For Tom Brousseau, I'm Pat Miller for Travel Agent TV. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.